Every year, thousands of people miss out on benefits because of small, avoidable mistakes. Mistakes that you might be making too without even realizing it. Today, I'll share 5 common errors and how to avoid them so that you can get the benefits that you deserve without the frustration. So first, let's talk about your paperwork. Not the most exciting part, I know, but you'd be surprised how many applications get delayed or denied simply because they're incomplete. Think of your application like a puzzle. Every piece matters. Even one blank space can throw off the whole picture and prevent you from getting the assistance that you need. Now, I know that these applications can be long and tedious, but trust me, it's crucial to answer every single question. And I do mean every question. Even if it seems irrelevant or you think, they don't really need to know that, and you don't want to answer it, you need to answer it anyway. Why? Because those questions are there for a reason. They help caseworkers determine your eligibility and calculate your benefit amounts. If you're unsure about what a question is actually asking, don't guess. Don't just wing it and hope for the best. Instead, reach out to your caseworker or the program office for clarification. They're there to help you, and a phone call or an email can save you a lot of trouble down the line. And here's a pro tip. If a question truly doesn't apply to you, don't leave it blank. Just write NA for not applicable. This shows that you've considered the question, you didn't just miss it, and that it doesn't pertain to your situation. It's a small detail, but it can make a big difference in how your application is processed. And don't forget those supporting documents either. This is where things can get really tricky. Different programs have different documentation requirements, and it's essential to know exactly what you need before you start. Think of it like packing for a trip. You wouldn't want to arrive at your destination only to realize that you forgot your passport, right? Well, forgetting a crucial document can be just as disastrous for your benefit application. Proof of income, proof of residency, and proof of household size are some of the most common requirements. But depending on the program, you might also need things like birth certificates, social security cards, tax returns, bank statements, or even medical records. It can feel overwhelming, but there is a simple way that you can stay organized. I have found it really helpful to create a checklist. Do this for each program that you're applying for. Just make a list of every single document that they ask for. For SNAP, for example, you might need recent pay stubs, rent or mortgage statements, utility bills, and proof of household members like birth certificates or school records. Once you have your checklist, it's easy to start gathering those documents, and it's easy to see if you've missed anything. And here's the key. You need to make sure that everything is up to date. You'll need recent dates on all of that important paperwork. Expired documents or old pay stubs can cause delays or even denials. So double check those expiration dates and make sure that everything is in order. Now, I know that paperwork can feel overwhelming, but trust me, having everything ready and organized makes all the difference. I learned this firsthand when I applied for LIHEAP. We had just received an absolutely jaw-dropping $3,364 power bill. And at the time, I had 13 people living in my household. It was a lot of paperwork, but I came prepared. I showed up at the Community Action Agency with birth certificates, social security numbers, proof of income, and everything else they needed for every member of my household, all organized in a little binder. The worker was absolutely stunned. She even admitted to me that they had actually literally drawn straws to decide who was going to have to work with me because they assumed that a 13-person household would be an absolute paperwork nightmare. Instead, she was so excited when she realized that I had everything in order that she went out to tell her coworkers how easy my case was. So the lesson here is that preparation saves time and stress, not just for you, but also for the people processing your application. Caseworkers are juggling hundreds of cases, and when you make their job easier, your application is far more likely to be processed quickly and correctly. That's why I always recommend gathering and organizing your documentation before you even begin your application. That way you can be sure that you have everything you need and you can avoid any last-minute scrambles. Now, while you're looking at the paperwork, make sure to take a close look at the program's specific rules and deductions. These details are often overlooked, but can make a huge difference in the benefits that you receive. For example, programs like SNAP allow deductions for certain eligible expenses, which help lower your countable income. Now, countable income is the amount of income that they count against you when determining your eligibility and benefit amounts. By reducing the amount of countable income you have, you increase the amount of benefits that you may qualify for. And that may help you get more assistance than you would have otherwise. So, what kind of expenses can count? It really depends on the program you're applying for, but some of the common ones include housing costs like rent or mortgage payments, utility bills for electricity, water, heating, phone service, sometimes even internet, childcare expenses for working parents or for those in school, medical expenses for seniors or disabled individuals, and this can include everything from prescriptions, doctor visits, dental care, transportation to medical appointments, and more. Dependent care expenses if you have to care for an elderly or disabled household member. There's all sorts of different things, and it's going to vary depending on the program that you're applying for. These things can make a big difference, but unfortunately, many people miss out on them because they either don't know about them, or they assume their expenses don't count, or they just don't ask. And that means that they end up qualifying for less assistance or being denied altogether, even though they could have qualified for more help. So here's what you can do to make sure that you're getting all the benefits that you're entitled to. Gather and document all of your recurring monthly expenses before you apply. Sit down and go through your bills for rent, utilities, medical costs, childcare, and more. Write them down and keep proof of those expenses, like bills, receipts, or statements. Programs often require documentation to verify your expenses, so having this ready will save you time and stress. Don't assume that an expense just doesn't count. If you're not sure, ask. It's better to ask than to leave money on the table. The worst they can do is say no, right? And if you don't ask, you're basically telling yourself no anyway, and that's not helping you. So make sure you keep track of those expenses. If your costs go up, like your rent increases, or if you have higher medical bills, or you start paying for childcare, let your caseworker know. Programs like SNAP allow you to update your deductions, which could increase your benefits. Check program guidelines for any deductions that you may not have thought of. Some programs offer special deductions that aren't widely known. And a lot of times, the only way to find out about those is to dig into the paperwork and take a look. And these little known deductions can make a huge impact. So it's really worth your time to read that fine print usually. So the bottom line is this, right? Every dollar of eligible expenses that you report can make a difference. So don't sell yourself short. Gather your paperwork, keep your records updated, and don't hesitate to ask questions. Now, all of that being said, it's important not to let worries about your paperwork cause you to miss deadlines. Benefits programs have strict timelines for applications, renewals, and appeals. Missing a deadline, even by just one day, can result in a denial or a frustrating gap in your benefits. To avoid this, you need to stay ahead of the game. Mark important dates on your calendar, set reminders on your phone, or use apps that help you track deadlines. I also recommend breaking the process into smaller, manageable tasks and checking them off as you go. For example, set a goal to complete one section of your application every day, or gather your documents one step at a time. This approach keeps you organized, reduces stress, and ensures that you're ready to submit on time without any last-minute rush. And then, of course, once you've submitted your application, your work is still not done. Please do not assume that everything is just smooth sailing once you click submit. A lot of people believe that no news is good news, but that's not always the case when it comes to these benefit programs. Applications can get lost. Caseworkers might need more information, or there could be communication issues like mail getting lost or emails going into your spam folder. The last thing you want is for a small issue to delay your approval or even cause your case to be denied. So to stay on top of things, get a confirmation number or proof of submission when you apply, keep track of your application status, and follow up regularly. A quick phone call or an email can make a huge difference. And make sure that you pay close attention to any requests from your caseworker. Don't ignore phone calls, emails, or letters. Respond to them promptly. If they need additional documents, provide them as quickly as possible. Being proactive can make all the difference. Applications that sit in limbo don't get approved, so it's up to you to follow through. No one cares about this as much as you do, and your persistence will pay off. So now I want to talk about one more thing that a lot of people overlook, and that's the fine print and the appeals process, which you'll usually find outlined in that fine print. Carefully reading the instructions for any program you're applying for is key to avoiding simple, preventable errors that could slow things down. And if your application is denied, make sure that you don't lose hope. You can usually appeal. Many programs offer a clear appeals process, and you'd be surprised how many people are approved on the second try. Denials happen for all sorts of reasons, and many of them are fixable. For example, about 80% of Social Security disability claims are denied the first time. That sounds really discouraging, right? But many of those cases are approved during the appeal process. Why? Because the majority of initial denials are due to technical issues, like missing paperwork, insufficient detail, or incomplete medical evidence. If your application is denied or if you receive benefits that seem lower than they should be, here's what you can do to make your appeal stronger. First, carefully review that denial letter to understand why you were denied. That letter can be your roadmap. It should tell you exactly what needs to be addressed. Second, file your appeal before the deadline listed in the letter. Missing the appeal window can cost you your chance to challenge that decision. Third, follow the appeal instructions closely. Programs provide clear steps for filing an appeal, so take your time and ensure you complete each step. Gather evidence to support your case, upload documents, additional proof of expenses, or more detailed medical records, because this can make a big difference. Review feedback and improve where needed. Sometimes it's going to be a simple fix, like submitting an updated pay stub or clarifying a household expense. Appeals can feel intimidating, but persistence really is key here. If you believe you're eligible, don't just take no for an answer without a fight. A denial doesn't have to be the end of the road. And finally, let's talk about one last mistake: not asking for help when you need it. Navigating these systems can feel overwhelming, but you don't have to do it alone. Many organizations provide free assistance to help you complete applications, avoid mistakes, and even appeal denials. Nonprofits, legal aid groups, and local SNAP offices are great resources. They can answer your questions, walk you through the tricky paperwork, and ensure that you're on the right track. If you're dealing with Social Security or VA disability appeals, our sponsor Injury Claims can help you navigate the process and get the benefits that you deserve. Just visit lirlinks.com/gethelp to get started. Remember, these programs exist to help you, and there are people out there who want to support you every step of the way. So, to wrap up, if you take just one thing from this video, I hope it's this: be persistent, stay organized, and don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. Missing deadlines, skipping paperwork, or giving up after a denial could mean missing out on the help that you need and deserve. If you found this video helpful, check out our other videos for even more ways to save money and get free stuff. I'll see you there.